Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
7 things you don't really need to know, but probably should. I'm Ciara Revin, and this is the Sunday 7.
On this week's edition of the award-winning Sunday 7, we catch up on the latest Samsung tech, find out how you can go to Mars without leaving Earth, dive into Irish Shark Week, and discover why buildings all over the UK are getting scanned. And remember, if you're enjoying this episode, please do like and share, and you can catch up on the 7 biggest stories 7 days a week at 7 a.m. with the Smart 7. But first, it was on this day in 2013 that the world's last telegram was sent in India. It was the last major country to shut down the service, which was first launched by Samuel Morse 180 years ago in 1844. The last UK telegram was delivered in 2008, but it still survives in some countries. For example, Argentina, where to formally resign your job, you have to send a telegram. So hold on. I quit. Stop. No, not really. The new Labour government in the UK has a long list of urgent actions to cope with. There's a crisis in the prisons, the NHS, and most definitely in the water. This week has seen proposed water bill rises from water regulator Ofwat of about £100 over the next 5 years. In the meantime, Thames Water has had to be placed into what's known as special measures, as it appears it will either need to be temporarily nationalised or at least restructured after it became unable to cope with its £15 billion debts. This all comes after a torrent of stories about sewage dumping and increasingly depressing water quality measurements across the UK. Clean water campaigner and former pop star Fergal Sharkey says there needs to be a serious state intervention.
Government needs to conduct an urgent root and branch review of the regulatory system. I think Ofwat needs utter restructuring, if not abolishing. And I think to send that message, I think bill payers need to take to the streets in Whitehall to demonstrate to Ofwat we've had enough of the greed, we've had enough of the exploitation, we've had enough of customers being fleeced, we've had enough of sewage being dumped into our rivers and onto our beaches. It ends, and it needs to end today.
And while the UK may not have had much of a summer, water is a hot topic across Europe as climate change and record temperatures have led to a drought in several European countries. June was the hottest month on record according to the EU's climate observers, and 2024 is on track to be the hottest year on record. Climate scientist Otto says that with global warming and the El Nino event, temperatures will stay high.
It is totally not a surprise to see the June record being broken after the May record having been broken after the April record. So we have had these 12 months of record hot months, which is because we have also record high levels of greenhouse gas emissions because of the burning of fossil fuels.
Southern Europe has been dramatically affected by heat waves, and in Sicily, Lake Borgusa, the island's only natural lake, has almost disappeared completely. Giuseppe Maria Amato is a local environmentalist, and he's concerned about the impact the lake's disappearance will have on migrating birds.
The lake is no longer there. The part of the visible water has completely disappeared, apart from this puddle that we have here. Lake Borgusa is an indicator of what Sicily is suffering. Due to climate change, we knew it, and we said it. This will be the first place in Sicily where we realize that something is happening, and that is what we see before our eyes.
Meanwhile, on the Greek island of Naxos, the major reservoir has dried up and water levels are so low that seawater has been drawn into irrigation wells and is harming local crops. The island is a popular tourist spot, and authorities have had to bring in desalination units to make sure there's enough drinking water. But Mayor Dimitris Lanos says this is not a long-term solution.
We believe there will be some problems, not daily, but in some areas, some higher regions. But we believe there will not be serious problems such as water cuts in villages. We believe things will go well, and that is why we took all these measures.
This week has seen some exciting new innovation in tech for those who really can't put down their phones. A high-tech battle between Ticketmaster and ticket hackers, and a fascinating documentary that looks at the private space exploration race. But there's only one man to call when it comes to high-tech talk, and that's the Smart 7's own high-tech gadget tech guru, Will Guyatt. Samsung have been pretty busy innovating with foldable phones, new AI-powered TVs, and one ring to rule them all. Right? So have Samsung gone sour on, or what are they up to?
Forget the smartwatch and embrace the smart ring. As part of Samsung's latest generation of Galaxy launches, the company has revealed the Galaxy Ring alongside its two latest phones with foldable screens. And with the Galaxy Ring, you can get notifications from your phone, and it also reports back to your phone with a ton of health information. While this isn't the first smart ring ever, it's the first time that one of the major tech companies has got in on the act so far.
So this is for the people who are really wedded to their smartphones.
Oh yeah, very good. Out of all the connected tech ideas so far, this is one that really works for me. If you're someone who wears a ring, it seems like the Galaxy Ring could use this array of sensors to update you on a wealth of vital signs. Stuff like your heart, your sleep, your stress, and even your monthly cycle. But unlike a smartwatch or these other devices that need to be charged pretty much every day, which drives me around the bend, you can apparently power a Galaxy Ring for a week's activity for around 70 minutes of charge. But importantly, and perhaps incredibly annoying for many, this device will not work with Apple's iPhone.
How much is it going to cost?
It's going for £399 in the UK, arguably cheap for a ring, but get saving if you're updating your smartphone and the smartwatch at the same time. You could be spending over £2,000 if you're upgrading to the very latest version of Samsung Galaxy devices.
There's a fascinating new documentary on the way called Wild Wild Space, but this isn't about billionaires heading into space, is it?
This hits HBO in the States on July 17th, and judging by the early previews, is going to make some considerable noise. It lifts the lid on the seemingly unchecked and almost rabid commercialisation of space as companies compete with each other in a lawless free-for-all stampede. It's pretty much like the gold rush you saw in all those Western movies.
Are there any regulations over what goes up there?
Forget billionaires like Musk and Jeff Bezos blasting off in rockets. Essentially, space is filling up with more and more satellites and space junk, to the extent that there may be too many things flying around in space soon for us to get out into deeper orbit to go and investigate all those planets and galaxies millions and billions of miles away. Good news everyone, there's a treaty from 1967 that says no companies can store weapons of mass destruction on the moon, and we should all avoid willful contamination of space. If you're like me, you'll be doing your best to track this documentary down. The reviews are out of this world. Never mind.
If you've been to a Ticketmaster gig recently, you notice that they're getting more and more particular about tickets and how we handle them. But there's more to it, isn't there, Will?
There is definitely a lot more to this story. If you've been to one of the summer's biggest gigs, you're likely to have seen those rotating, constantly changing barcodes that get you entry. They've been designed by Ticketmaster to stop scalpers from profiteering on tickets. But now there's a different battle ongoing, as hackers have successfully deconstructed how Ticketmaster creates these barcodes that appear on each and every one of their tickets, and they're still not sure exactly how they're doing it. Hackers have been able to regenerate tickets while removing the anti-scalping restrictions that had been introduced by Ticketmaster, which it claimed would help keep prices down. Essentially, it meant these tickets could not be resold, but now, with these changes, they're able to, and Ticketmaster currently can't stop them as counterfeit or fake tickets.
If hackers and scalpers have teamed up, what does that mean for ticket prices and for Ticketmaster?
It's actually hard to know what's right or wrong in this story. Ticketmaster itself continues to use its own reselling service, which it says restops scalpers. Critics say that also does a damn good job of increasing price of tickets and keeping them out the hands of holders who want to buy them at list price. Those behind the hack say that free and open resale would help keep the price down on Ticketmaster tickets. I guess this is a bit like Robin Hood. Some people thought he was terrible, other people thought he was great.
Still to come on the Sunday 7, we head to Mars without leaving Earth, and we find out why cancer rates from smoking are on the rise. If you really like the idea of living on Mars, but you're really not into long-distance travel, then NASA might have just the job for you. They're busy gearing up for the first manned flight to Mars, and the Artemis project will see a program of moon landings designed to prepare and develop technology. But it's not about the trip to Mars, it's about what happens when we get there. And there's been a fascinating Mars project running on Earth for just over a year. 4 volunteer astronauts spent 378 days in an isolated Mars bunker in Houston, Texas. They were challenged to grow crops in in a Martian-style environment, simulate spacewalks and practiced communicating back to base with simulated technical issues. The commander of the mission was Kjell Heston.
During this mission, these people have given an incredible richness of shared experience and conversation, a gift of love and support that made this year possible. I am humbled that being away on a one-year Mars analog brought me closer to those I was with and those I left back at home. I am so proud and honored to be part of this crew and project, and to be a part of a small incremental part of the work being done here on Earth that will one day enable humans to explore and live on Mars.
Kjell Lindgren is the Deputy Director of Flight Operations at the Johnson Space Center in Texas, and he was full of praise for the Martian volunteers.
The path to Mars is beset with challenges, and the crew and their families have committed a year of their lives in service to NASA, to the country, and to humanity's exploration of space. And so thank you. Congratulations and thank you to the crew for putting your previous careers on pause for a year and committing yourself to research that is going to enable our future exploration of space.
Julie Kramer White is NASA's Director of Engineering at the Johnson Space Center, and she says there are 2 more long missions planned to test and prepare for what will be a complex and long-distance operation.
Stay tuned for CHAPEA Mission 2, which will happen next year, and CHAPEA Mission 3, which will happen in 2027. We still have a lot left to learn, and we hope you'll join us on our journey. Please join me once more in welcoming CHAPEA Mission 1 crew home.
One of the pieces of legislation that never got through Parliament because of the election was Rishi Sunak's plan to ban smoking and control the sale of vapes. The gradually increasing age limit for buying cigarettes was supposed to mean the next generation will grow up smoke-free, but the bill is now in limbo. New figures released this week have sparked calls for the new Labour government to bring the bill to the floor, as cases of cancer caused by smoking have increased by 17% since 2003. That means over 160 new cancers caused by cigarettes are being diagnosed every day, according to Cancer Research UK. Figures show less people are smoking, but data analysis and research manager at Cancer Research UK, Karis says that doesn't necessarily mean cancer rates will fall, with 6.4 million people still smoking in the UK.
The cancers caused by smoking today actually reflect what the smoking levels were like 10, 15 years ago rather than what they are now. And they've not always come down smoothly. So we're seeing the effect of that now. We do know that there are broader determinants of health. There are causes of causes, things that are more likely to make someone smoke in the first place. And those are things like deprivation, poor mental health, being a member of the LGBTQ plus community. These groups all have higher levels of smoking.
Still to come in the Sunday 7, we go shark hunting off the coast of Ireland and find out why the government is scanning buildings across the UK.
Right after this.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome back.
This week has seen Discovery Channel celebrate Shark Week with a 7-day-long feast of programmes dedicated to the ocean's top predators. But much as people fear sharks, many species of shark are in fact endangered and under threat as the oceans warm up and mankind's impact increases on the marine world. There are about 40 species of shark in the waters of Ireland, but many of those are listed as critically endangered or vulnerable. But there's still a lot we don't know about what goes on under the sea off Europe's coastline. This September, a new study is due to take place, organised by Dr. Nick Payne, who is a professor of marine biology at Trinity College Dublin, and he thinks he just might find a great white shark in Irish waters.
Over the years, we've heard some pretty interesting and compelling anecdotal reports of things that fishermen have seen out on our Irish coastline in the past few decades that make me think, okay, maybe there is a chance that we do occasionally see great white sharks in Ireland. There's really nothing about the water temperatures, the food or the habitat in Ireland that makes us think that they shouldn't be here. So I think there's a pretty good chance. Over the years, we've over-targeted and over-harvested shark species. We used to fish for them very, very heavily. In addition to that, they're undergoing things like habitat destruction. So they're undergoing a lot of challenges, and they have for a long time. Step one in trying to implement really good, effective conservation and management is knowing what we have out in our oceans. Step two is then trying to really delve deeper into our understanding of how things are changing and how things are related. So this current trip that we're planning for September is step one.
We've all gotten used to Google cars zipping around our neighbourhoods with their cameras capturing data for Google Street View, but now a new data gathering vehicle has entered the chat. You might see a Tesla with a peculiar camera rig attached, cruising streets and towns across the UK. They're not capturing Street View though. Instead, this device is set up to scan buildings and measure key data. It's part of a process called BESS, Built Environment Scanning Systems, and it's designed to track what the state of buildings across the UK is when it comes to heat loss, the kind of materials used, and whether or not they're in a good state of repair. Ahsan is Director of Research and Innovation at Trustmark, who are engaged in the project to help with what's known as data-driven decarbonisation.
The Built Environment Scanning System, that's our name for the technology, enables us to scan huge swathes of the country in the shortest time possible to try and understand the built environment in a better context of where it is and what needs doing to it as it gets to net zero.
He took New Scientist environment reporter Madeleine Cuff for a spin in the customised Tesla to show you how they're tracking emissions to help the UK get to net zero.
You tend to see a lot of different heat loss, so some of that will be airborne heat loss where you've got hot air from the internal space leaking out through cracks and gaps, and then you'll also have, particularly on medium to high-rise buildings, elements where you can see insulation is either slumped or been missing or incorrectly installed, so you get a localised gap of insulation, and that's normally where you'd expect to see quite a lot of things like mould growth or condensation on those surfaces because they're cooler than the rest.
We've had a few elephant stories recently on the Sunday 7, with studies revealing that the massive beasts have their own unique system of communication and that they even give each other names. This week's elephant story, however, is quite sad, as a virus called EHV has struck in Dublin Zoo, resulting in the deaths of 2 young elephants. Now a third elephant appears to have contracted the disease, which can have an 85% fatality rate, but doesn't spread to humans and mainly affects Asian elephants. The director of Dublin Zoo, Christoph Schwitzer, says it's a tough time for the herd.
Elephants live in a very closely knit matriarchal herd led by an adult female, and when they lose a member of the herd, they do grieve. We know that. We know it from the wild. We know it from human care as well. And so what we do is we let the dead animal in there for a little while so that the animals can actually say goodbye. And I think that's very important. We see that. The elephants then go over and touch her with their trunks and all of that. And it's very similar, I'd say, to human society. Elephants grieve as much as we do.
This has been the Sunday 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. with the regular Smart 7. Have a great rest of your weekend. Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.
For over 130 years, McCormick has helped you make Mom's lasagna to keep her secret recipe alive. Take over taco night, no matter how chaotic your day is. Conquer the bake sale, even if you get to it last minute. And craft the perfect Sunday brunch when it's not even Sunday. Because with McCormick by your side, it's gonna be great.